Hello there and welcome along to another mixed martial arts conversation for Sky Sports. Looking ahead to the big UFC middleweight fight this weekend. Israel Adesanya defending against the also undefeated Paulo Costa. Pleased to say former UFC middleweight Mark Weir is with us. You're in Manchester for the Cage Warriors, aren't you? What have you got coming up?
Yeah. I'm just getting ready. There's one of my top guys, Christian Duncan, is successful. IMAF, again, going through there. He's done it a few times. From silver, bronze, everything. So everybody's looking to see what he does in a pro rankings. I reckon it's gonna be a fast track for him.
Brilliant. Well, good luck this weekend. Just wanted to get your reflections, Mark, on the news from the government that potentially we're not going to have fans at sporting events for 6 months. What are your reflections? And it's very fast, quick reflections after the announcement on what the impact might be on combat sports because of that.
Well, the main thing is there's a lot of events normally, but they make a lot of money through the amateur rankings. And amateurs, they bring a lot of people to the show. That's where a lot of the money is gained. So there's only a few people can survive just off the professional, and that's because linked with the television. Because obviously then they get a little bit of income coming through. But I'm not sure. It's short term it was all right, but I'm not sure long term now.
And could it even impact the elite organisations like the UFC and Bellator because of contracts maybe having to get renegotiated with the loss of ticket sales now?
Yeah, and obviously with everything else, the training is very hard because even myself, when it comes to restrictions for professional, I can do it. I can go ahead with the training, but for the amateurs, they can't. So I'm still restricted to certain days of training with the professionals only. All the others are just hungry to make contact, but they can't for safety.
Really complex situation. On a positive note, let's talk about the main event, your old division, middleweight, Israel Adesanya against Paulo Costa. How excited are you about this, first of all?
I'm very excited. To me, Adesanya is the next Anderson Silva, which I'm a big fan of as well. Back in the day when he went to Cage Rage, I was close. I was lined up to fight him originally, but a guy called Lee Murray stepped in instead. They changed because they didn't realize how big he was. And they favoured Lee Murray because he was a Londoner like them. So I missed out on that chance.
Yeah, what about him? The rise has been incredible, undefeated and obviously champion. Yes. But what about his assets as a fighter and I suppose his natural advantages? You mentioned his size, his height and his reach.
Yeah, the main thing for himself, he adapted from same way I came through with kickboxing background, full contact. And so he's already been a champion for a while. He knows the pressure. He knows what everybody's expecting him to do. Going to MMA, it was just a different adjustment, which I noticed from keeping your hands near to your chin. Now it's out long range, so a person attacks you from for a longer distance. It means that you can read people shooting in or trying different sort of trying to initiate their ground game on you or pushing you against him.
How much of a contrast and a different style and physique does Paulo Costa offer? Is that what partly makes this contest so intriguing? Because his assets are almost a counterpoint, aren't they?
Yeah, the main thing is like Adesanya's used to people trying to knock him out in heavy fights. He says he's not really into the power side of things, knocking people out. He's more into the art. So he's more about, which is clever. It means that he's used to looking for people's weaknesses, exploiting it, and then taking them apart with it. Which Costa comes at you and he tries to break you down fast, which I think is contrasting styles for them too.
Yeah, Dana White has called it potentially the fight of the year contender. Do you agree with that, or sometimes do you think the clash of styles could make it difficult? And perhaps it depends on Costa, I suppose, and his intent, does it?
No, I believe it's 100%. Costa can't let it go to the later rounds. Adesanya might start working at his weakness, and I think. With Costa, he's going to come fast, pressure him, because take a couple on his chin just to land his one or two. He has got good knockout power. So I think it's going to be fast on his rate, and Adesanya's going to have to use his footwork and outclass him, outspeed him. So I reckon it's going to be fast for the word go.
Yeah, for Israel Adesanya, do you feel it's his toughest test? He's obviously been in with legend of the sport, Anderson Silva, Robert Whittaker as well. Do you feel that this is an elevation for him, or is the uptaking level, is that more on Costa's side?
Yeah, you have Romero as well. I don't think it is. I think it's just another person he has to sort of work out. He's going to have this on again and again and again. People look like potential next, best fight ever. But it's going to be a case of can he work this person out? Can he calculate this person? Exploit their weaknesses. I think it's the way this fight is going. It looks really good on the card because he's only recently got the middleweight title. He's still green in that area, but I think his experience is going to stand out. I think this fight would definitely be one for this year because the MMA scene went quiet for a little bit, and now it's starting to get momentum. I know it's ain't got the crowd and everything, but we know it's there to stay, which is good.
Yeah, and Israel Adesanya, there's been words exchanged between the two, bumped into each other last week. It was pretty respectful, but it felt from some of the preview material, the interviews, that maybe Costa's got under his skin a little bit. Does that add extra spice to it, or do you think Adesanya will be cool and composed in the arena? Do you have any sort of memories of Needle in your fights that maybe affected it?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, when you got a title, that person's after the title, not you. But they do things to get into your head. The first thing, from the great Muhammad Ali, he tries to beat them mentally before physically. And if you can do that, it makes the fight even easier. Little tricks. They say little things like, they take like Ricky Martin takes a mick out of his name and his size, the way he looks, the temptation to gas out. So if someone says that, you tend to not want to gas out to make them be right. So you might be a bit more tentative. A lot of it's just mind games. And he's saying about how small he is, Adesanya, to get into Adesanya's head about, thinking that, making him worry about the guy's power. But it's a mind game. And when they met each other, remember they were joking and laughing after their own jokes. So it's just part of the fight.
So some people might like Ricky Martin's music as well. They might see that as a bit of a compliment. But I don't know. That's what Adesanya said against Paulo Costa. What do you think Israel Adesanya's tactics will be? He's been in with some experienced people. He has got wisdom in the sport now. How will he approach it? Will he sort of let it play out and sort of feel his way in?
Okay, all right. So when you look at this, the height, the range, the thing what he's got is not going to be the punching, the striking, the angles he's good at. It's going to, I really do believe it's going to be the long range, the long kicks, the kicks to the knee. He ain't going to. I don't think he's going to do too many the angled round kicks because he might catch it and close him down. I think it's going to be long, snapping side front kicks to the legs and maybe to the body or even to the face. I think he's going to keep it long to be safe and then pick him out that way because you can finish a fight with a straight kick to the face or the body, and you can off balance him or even slow him down with a good kick to the knee. So I think that his game is going to be maybe long strikes with his legs and then picking him out from the angles with his hands. I think he's going to keep it long. The long game is his strength. I think the short game coming close is not going to be to his advantage.
You're coaching up there in Manchester this weekend. If you were coaching Paulo Costa, what would you advise him on a game plan? Because he's been fast and furious, as we've talked about. He seeks the knockout, but this is 5-round distance for the first time with a guy with a reach advantage and experience over that distance. Would you expect him to change his game plan, or could that be dangerous if he were to change it at this point?
I probably would add a little bit more of a zigzag motion or a bob and weaving motion, so you don't get tagged so easily. But the idea is to keep going forward. And if he gets a chance to close him down, because on the inside, that's where his power shows. And he doesn't mind taking a punch. You see both of them when he was Romero, he got dropped. They dropped each other back and forth. So he's not frightened of that. He's young and he's very hungry. And obviously at the moment his chin's lasting out. So that's his strength. Take one to give one. But I do think, Weir is going to try and move and pick a move, which is a great way of fighting. I think he needs to close him down, which is not straightforward because that's too easy. It's going to be more of a zigzag motion.
Have you got any concerns about Costa's weight? They say muscly people tell me that muscle weighs more than fat, but he is stacked, comes in usually at 200 to 205 pounds around fight week. Would that be a concern ahead of this one, trying to hit that championship limit dead on?
Well, could be, but think about this. He's training for 5 rounds. So he's got rather than where he's trained for 50 minutes, he's now training for extra 2 rounds, and he's going to be on form for those 2 rounds. Because that's where, as it gets in later rounds, if you're going to show a little crack in your armor, it's going to be there. So his cardio to meet that means that his body fat is going to be, at its minimum, not his maximum. So remember, for cardio, you got long muscles, not round muscles. So I think it shouldn't be an issue. Normally, it might have been when he was doing 3 rounds, but when it goes to doing 5 rounds, it's totally different.
Yeah,
you've got to have that cardio and go beyond.
Yeah, uncharted territory for Paulo Costa potentially. Mark, just to summarise, what are the key for victories for both men in your opinion? The key game plans.
Okay, Adesanya's definitely long range, pick a move, work him out, find out where's a chink in his armor, keep tagging him, frustrate him, make him miss a few times. A bit like a bullfight. Every time he comes forward, he's out of the way, just get into his head. And then once you see the weakness and he's starting to give up, or you start to see the chink in his armor, maybe through kicks to the legs or the body or the head, is to expose that more and more and more. He's got to find what works. Now, for Costa now, is to don't hang around. Don't let him have time to work you out. It's to zigzag, close him down, and land. Land as much as, as hard as you can, as quick as you can. Beat him up, body, head, put him against the cage if you can. And again, just break him down. And you don't want to give him time or where he goes into experienced rounds of 4 or 5 rounds. And you don't want to work him out and start picking him from long range. He's got to close him down.
Okay, well, it's a mouth-watering proposition. What are your predictions for this? Who wins and how?
For me, it's still going to be Adesanya for me. The only reason why is because of all the pluses, the experience, the people he's fought, and he's used to the 5 rounds. Everything to me points to his direction. Costa is inexperienced. He's had a few big names. He's never gone for distance. He's a championship title fight, and like I said, he hasn't got the amount of fights Adesanya's got. So the experience is in Adesanya's corner.
And if it goes to the judges, you believe that will be Adesanya's victory?
Yeah, I believe so. Unless there's something which he's worked on. Remember, it's MMA, so they're always putting out something new out of the bag, revolutionary. So, but it's still in my favour. I think I still think Adesanya will put it out.
Have a good weekend. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Mark. Well, brilliant to speak to Mark Weir. Thank you for watching this preview. What a weekend ahead in MMA. Adesanya against Costa, Blachowicz against Reyes. I hope you enjoy it. Remember, for any more MMA content, head over to skysports.com. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.